All right. Let's do this. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Angie's Angles. November the 21st, in the year of my Lord, 2024. Harold Clark. I am Duo Interstatal. Welcome back, friends and family. Well, you know what? I have no friends on Angie's Angles. You're all family. So let's drop the friends moniker, if you know what I mean. As the title says, we're going to be discussing ad nauseum the Juan Soto update. Will he or will he not be a Met? All the offers are on the table, I suppose. All the meetings have taken place. The big players, we got the New York Mets, the New York Yankees, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Toronto Blue Jays. Clark, Harold, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, guys. I appreciate that. I hope you guys are well. Clark is giving me a weather report. Windy and cold in Davenport. Same here in New York, fellas. I got off the plane around 12:30 this afternoon. I had a special Uber driver, one Danny Gagliano. So I had to tip him and take him to Chick-fil-A for lunch today. If you know what I mean. Hey, Nick, thanks for joining. Let's put you on the big screen, Nick. He's got a question. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Seeing that my Mets signed Joey Manise today and Jose Siri. Yeah, you know what? Oh, Harold, you got snow already? That's awful. Nick, this Jose Siri trade, well, that spells something for one Harrison Bader. He will no longer be a Met. Much to Clark's chagrin. Clark. Harrison Bader and his $10 million a year goes bye-bye. And we get Jose Siri. Now, Jose Siri comes to us with an amazing pedigree as a center fielder. A huge upgrade in center field in terms of defensive prowess. However, measly 187 batting average. Can he carry that? That's the question. But some of the big teams in baseball have to be strong up the middle. And if he makes us strong up the middle, maybe it becomes our number 9 hitter. So I'm not really sure what to say about this Jose Siri acquisition. Could that just be AAA depth? Could that be injury protection in the event that one Brandon Nimmo doesn't rebound as well from his plantar fasciitis? If you're all familiar with that injury, that's what one Albert Pujols had, and that slowed him down in his older years. Now, the series coming to us at 29 years old, and he doesn't have the plantar fasciitis, but one Brandon Nimmo does. And if Brandon comes up hobbling in spring training, and we all know how Brandon approaches spring training, he does 1 game in and like 3 games off. And he alleges that he's got to pace himself for a 162 game season. I'd like him to tell that to Ted Williams back in the day, right? All these guys that took the field day in, day out, injury, no injury, et cetera, because if they didn't play, they didn't get paid, as much for the next year. I mean, they got that year's salary that they signed up for, but we're going to see. So the December 6th general manager meetings are rapidly approaching. We're at the 21st of November. And I suspect that Juan Soto is going to be with a team before the general manager meetings conclude. I think it's going to happen before they start. I think for sure before they conclude, because you got to know as a team. You're going in with your hub of advisors, general managers, ownerships on the horn. You got to know going into the general managers meeting what your possibilities are to round out your roster, what your acquisitions are going to be, what your trade chips are going to be, and who your big signings are going to be. Now, it's still be bandied about that Juan Soto is going to receive upwards, if not more than $600 million. We said this a little bit ad nauseum last week that I, for $600 million, would rather see the Skankies spend that money. Allow me to explain. And I covered this, right? When Cohen bought Verlander and Scherzer for the $40 million, sure, he showed us fans that he was willing to open up the pocketbook and shell out the shekels. And I've said this ad nauseum that Scherzer and Verlander were covered under insurance policy. So if they wound up anytime on the DL, that he recoups some of that money. So in the financial outlay, it wasn't really $40 million because none of us expected Scherzer or Verlander to, pitch, start 30 games, 2 years each, right? And it proved us right that they did not. So if Juan Soto comes up with turf toe, plantar fasciitis, whatever the injury might be, God forbid, whomever signed Soto recoups some of that money that they shelled out. But here's where the problem lies. The problem lies with us fans, right? So we sign whomever signed Soto. Let's not say we, because I'm not really a fan of the signing if we do it. But let's say if Soto signs with whatever team and he spits the bit with an injury, that owner gets some of that money back. But us fans, who we replacing Soto with? Who is the team that's going to have the backup player that's going to give you the pseudo production that you're expected from one Juan Soto? And to me, that's where the dilemma lies, right? How do you justify putting Tyrone Taylor, let's stick with the Mets, in right field in lieu of Juan Soto? Now, Tyrone Taylor stepped up, did a fine job, was part and parcel of our magic in 2024. But we cannot expect a repeat of that performance, of that timing, of the ability to hit the ball, etc., etc., etc. Hey, Eric, thanks for joining us. Yes, sign Bauer. Trevor Bauer. It's going to be interesting coming out of the general managers meeting to see what happens with one Trevor Bauer. It's going to be very interesting. He should have a plethora of employers to choose from. Harold, are you saying that you don't want Juan Soto or Bauer? I don't know which one. I know you don't want both. I'm assuming you don't want both because we've had this conversation offline. So where do we go from here? We got the Jose Siri signing. Maybe there's still more moves to make where Jose Siri's are late inning defensive replacement. And I believe he's making $700,000, $800,000 is not a lot of money. For $700,000, $800,000, I too can shag flies in center field, and I guarantee you I'd bring better than the 187 batting average. Guarantee it. So Clark and Harold do not want Juan Soto. I'm assuming it's Juan Soto, guys, either in Chicago on the north side and or in St. Louis. And let's take a look, right? Juan Soto's year in San Diego, his first year really didn't go all that well, eh? And Juan Soto, we covered this. His 162 game average is 32 to 34 home runs, 95 RBIs, and a 285 batting average. Now, they say 60 is the new 40 in the world of adulthood, right? Because we seem to be getting younger and younger as we get older and older. Just take a look at me, I suppose. I'm going to be turning 60 March 2nd. I've never felt healthier or better in my life. I'm a svelte 175. I'm 6'3". Not too shabby at the age of 60. But what's one to say about Juan Soto and his production? 285 in today's baseball is like 310. I covered that last week, right? So the batting average is there. The on-base percentage is there. The walks are there. But it really depends on the timing of his hits. Now, Pete Alonso spit the bit a lot this year, right? But hear me out. We re-signed Pete to 200. Now, I'm going to come off my 210, although I think that's what he might sign for eventually, perhaps with San Francisco Giants, Colorado Rockies. I mean, even, if Arizona is really looking to let Christian Walker go, he could wind up in Arizona. He could wind up in Texas. I'm going to assume that Pete wants to pick his team he wants to play for, and I have to assume that he wants to play for a winning club. Chicago's a landing spot for sure. St. Louis is a landing spot, although that's a big ballpark for Pete. I'm not sure Pete fits in the dimensions of one St. Louis. And I don't think he looks good in red. Just saying, Clark. So, as most of you know, I'm just coming off a quick junket down to Florida. I have my Aunt Pat, who is on home hospice care. I was fortunate enough to spend the entire day with her and the family. My cousins, Donna, Billy, and Miles. My Aunt Pat's friend Linda was in town. It was time well spent with Aunt Pat, who's been in my life since 1973. Always generous with the boys and myself, and remembering birthdays and holidays, and in today's world, we're all about today, and we don't look at tomorrow, because tomorrow really never comes, right? Because tomorrow turns into today. I sounded like somebody just then. You all know who. With that said, it was important for me to let her know how much of an impact she had in my life. So I was fortunate and happy enough to do that. I got in a couple of days with my son, Michael. And then I spent yesterday and last night with Brett, my buddy from Tampa, who showed me the town, and a really good time. And I appreciate that, Brett. But let's get back into the baseball conversation. I want to hear your opinions. Let's get into the prediction mode. Let's put on our thinking caps. Where's Juan Soto going to land? And I'm going to make a statement. I think the Skankies have about an 85% of re-signing Juan Soto. I think they listened to his concerns. I think they made a verbal commitment to address the concerns. And if you want Soto, and I got to say another thing. There's been a lot of conversation that Juan Soto's crazy not to sign with the Skankies because he'll have his own monument in Monument Park. Not yet. One season doesn't get you a monument. Hey, David, how are you, pal? Yeah, Clark. So, David, thanks for joining us, David. David says he's going to wind up with the Mets. And, David, so I take it that you want him on the Mets. Clark is saying he'll stay a Skanky. Toronto Blue Jays came out of nowhere as a surprise suitor. I don't see it. They got a bunch of superstars on that team, i.e., Bichette, Guerrero. Nick Troiano says, I think Soto goes to the Mets. Cohen will pay the most money. You're getting a really good hitter and a player. I'd be a kid in a candy shop if they get this done. Nick, you and I have had offline conversations about that, brother. And I gave you my opinion, my thoughts on that. It hamstrings us, right? It hamstrings us. If it becomes a Met, it's $600 million. It's a lot of money. Sure, Steve Cohen has the money. And by Steve Cohen offering $600 million, if that's accurate and on the table, Cohen has set the benchmark, and he might have to go to 650, 670. Dare we even say 700 million to be able to compete against the deep pockets of the Dodgers and the Skankies. Clark says he's going to want that ring, and that is probably most likely to happen as a Spanky. Harold, Soto is not a good outfielder. Right. So I've said this last week. Mark Brooks, my brother from another. How are you, pal? What's going on? Mark, where do you want to see Soto wind up? Do you want him as a Met? Yes or no, Mark? Give us your commentary. And Harold and Clark and Mark and Nick and David and Eric, I'm not in the mindset to be foolish enough to think that the Yankees are just going to sit idle and not be a main competitor for Juan Soto. The Yankees have a lot of holes to plug, as we saw in the World Series, where the New York Mets beat the Dodgers one more time than the Yankees did. So does Juan Soto hold out to see how the Skankies fix the pitching situation? Plugging in some of the defense. Bringing in another bat, perhaps. Correct. I don't think, Nick, I agree. I don't think we see us signing both Soto and Alonso. I'd be very, very surprised. However, maybe we do, because if you could see Soto batting third and Alonso batting fourth, and maybe a better batter batting fifth, not by the name of Nimmo, if you know what I mean. Perhaps we do Vientos 5. Because Vientos has proven that he can hit whatever you pitch him. He's proven that. So he doesn't necessarily need to be have somebody of power or contact behind him, because Vientos has proven, without a shadow of a doubt, that he can handle a baseball. So maybe we do this. Lindor 1. Maybe Acuna 2. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Nimmo 2. Not crazy about Nimmo 2, but it's possible. It might not be a bad idea. Then you got Soto 3, Alonso 4, Vientos 5. Holy Hannah. That's not a bad 3, 4, 5 right there. And then maybe we put Alvarez 6. And then round out the rest of the roster. So I'm not really sure where we're going to stand with that. But I do suspect, I do feel that the Soto sweepstakes will be over before the general manager meetings. And if not, prior to it, definitely at the conclusion of it. So what is it, a week long? I believe they're back at San Diego, I think. I'm pretty sure it is. Mark Brooks, Minnow could bat 6. You know where Minnow could bat? He could bat 9th. Because that's where he belongs, in my humble opinion. Hashtag Nimmo sucks. So we're at the 850 mark. I've been a little somber tonight. We got breaking news on the prayer circle front, and we'll address it shortly. But let's go run through the prayer circle at the 850 mark. Harold, we're praying for Dawn Squared, your wife, your coworker, your friend Ed, my friend. Scott Tobias, we're praying for your mom and your wife. Linda Stein, we're praying for your dad and the 962-hour days that you're working. Mark Brooks, we're praying for your dad and yourself, sir. Kevin Elliott, as you face your health challenges. Krause family, we're praying for you as Aubrey continues to fight the C word. Clark, your brother-in-law Brad, your sister Tricia, and yourself. Give us an update on the hip surgery. Deb and Lee down in Maryland, we're praying for you. Marianne Bello, we're praying for your mom out there in Las Vegas. Big John, Smoke Therapy Lounge, buddy. We're praying for your cousin Richie, Phil's Nona, and your friend Irene. Larry Levy, we're praying for your wife Frida and yourself, sir, as she faces the big challenge of the C word. Tom, another friend at Smoke Therapy, we're praying for Paul and Janet and Jack as he deals with his bypass surgery. John, we're praying for Elizabeth and Larry. Coach, we're praying for your friend Tom who lost his nephew. We're praying for my Aunt Pat down in Venice, Florida, as she faces her health challenges and is on oxygen 24/7 on home hospice care to make her comfortable. All of us from Smoke Therapy, we're praying for Johnny Barbecue as he's recovering just fine from his little medical issue. Now, fam, we're gonna ask you to hit your knees really, really hard tonight because as the veterans that you are of Angie's Angles, you know I omitted a name today. Mr. McGowan's wife, Michelle, reached out to me to let me know that Mr. McGowan suffered a brain hemorrhage. He's currently in ICU. She says that he's making strides. They're monitoring him. As you all know, that Mr. McGowan has been battling cancer, an aggressive form of cancer, brain cancer, esophagus cancer, and it's spread to other parts of his body. He was getting some positive updates on the battle. He's taken a step backward this evening, suffering the brain hemorrhage. And I just learned this about 15 minutes ago. I will post updates as I get them from his wife, Michelle, and I'm very gracious and grateful that you took time, Michelle, out to let me know the status so we can hit that prayer circle for your husband, my dear friend, Mr. McGowan. It's hit me a little hard tonight hearing this news because of the progress he was making and my eternal optimism that I'm going to drag him down here one night to Smoke Therapy in Ronkonkoma, and we're going to do a cigar night and a little bourbon or Jameson, just drink of his choice, and maybe a Guinness or two. So, Harold, I'm going to put that up. Harold wants to say, as you say, Ange, Mr. McGowan, we have your 6, sir. Harold, I really appreciate that. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. And I know you all are praying for him as well. I will post updates on my Facebook page. I will do, maybe I'll throw it on YouTube as a short so you could all follow along. Um, but yeah, that's kind of put me in a little somber mood tonight. I wanted to go off on a couple of things. I chose not to out of deep love and respect for him. I've it's funny how social media could make you so close. And I personally know Mr. McGowan from work, and he's been nothing but amazing colleague, mentor, advisor. He's really taken me under his wing and gave me some sound advice. I appreciate that, Mark. But most of you, right? I know Casey. Yes, Jim McGowan. Casey, do you know him? And thanks for joining us, Case. That's correct, Jim McGowan. Um, I know some of you. I've had the pleasure of only being Mark Brooks' friend online until he made the trek up to Connecticut and we decided to meet. And I have to do that with Clark and Harold. Um, we're going to do that. That's on my bucket list. You all know my friend Brett, and it's funny. I crashed at his place last night, and I saw the couch and the television from which he found Angie's Angles on YouTube or Facebook, rather. It was that Facebook from now. And Casey, I'm not sure if no, I don't. I'm not sure if it's the same Jim McGowan. Jim McGowan is about 63, I guess, Case, and he worked at Adelphi University. So if that's the same Jim McGowan, I don't think it is. I think I know who the Jim McGowan from baseball you mean. They might share a name, but I don't know of his extracurricular activities, Case. So I really don't know. Hey, Mark, thanks for joining us. Yeah, Jim's just he never had a bad. He's never had a bad word for anybody. Always positive, always upbeat. Yeah, Case, no problem, brother. It's all good. So, as we go to bed tonight, I ask that we hit our knees extra hard. Let's push them up to the top of the line on the prayer circle. I would like to think that all of our prayers have gotten him to this point, along with his courageous battle, his fierce determination to beat this. And I'm not trying to dwell on this too much to bring everybody down, but it definitely is paramount in my world that he gets better. We're going to make a commitment from Angie's Angles that when he does get better, if I have to bring the show to him, Michelle, we'll use the basement. We'll keep the level down a little bit, but he'll be my co-host, and we'll do an Angie's Angles with Jim McGowan. So I appreciate all of you. I do. I really, really appreciate it. But getting back to Brett. So he showed me the exact spot he was sitting at and the television he was watching when he discovered Angie's Angles. And he's been very instrumental in giving me major, major advice and guidance on Angie's Angles. Most of what you see here is an immediate byproduct of his efforts, and I appreciate him greatly. I joke with him. I tell him he could be a life coach. His words of wisdom are just immense. He breaks it down. He uses the KISS protocol. Keep it simple, stupid, right? Just break it down. It's not that difficult to communicate, to express your passion on a weekly basis. I need to step it up a little bit more, a lot bit more. Let's not say a little bit more. And we're going to do that in the off season, and we're going to come out firing on all cylinders at the start of the 2025 season. So I appreciate you again. Thank you. Join us next week for another Angie's Angles. I'll have updates posted as soon as I get them on Facebook. We'll follow along. It's been Angie's Angles coming to you live from Smoke Therapy, 215 Ronkonkoma Avenue, Ronkonkoma, New York. Good night. God bless. I love you.